Hello and welcome back to Everyday Rituals. This is my second episode of my new little podcast. It's my first episode recording myself speaking because I want to upload the podcast onto YouTube. So if you want to see what I look like, you can head over to YouTube and watch the video version of this podcast. Anyways, today's episode is going to be all about my rituals. It's not my current rituals, but it's the rituals I want to implement into my life. So, as I mentioned in my previous episode, the very first one, where I did a small little introduction into what this podcast is going to be about, I spoke briefly on the fact that I really want to start ritualizing my life. And I want to add a lot more structure and discipline and routine into my life. And that's not something that comes easy to me. So my strategy for doing that is actually to kind of like romanticize the whole thing. And instead of trying to implement these routines and framing them as routines and habits and structure and just like things that I don't really like that much, framing it in the way of rituals. Sounds more mystical, more romantic, more me, to be honest. And so that's how I'm going to go about this. And I really want to start embodying this version of myself that like lives her life in the form of various rituals, everyday rituals, weekly rituals, monthly rituals, like the whole thing. And it's not something that I currently do. I've tried it here and there to implement things into my life. I definitely know I want to. And I kind of feel like the me of today and my future self that has all the things I want to have and does all the things I want to do, that little in between, there just needs to be more structure for me to get like from point A to point B. And I need to discipline myself a bit more. I don't do this. It's not, as I mentioned, it's not something that comes easy to me. So anyways, in the process of ritualizing my life, I'm going to treat this podcast a little bit as my audio journal. I'm just going to come on here and tell you guys how it's going, tell you guys the rituals I want to implement, the ones I actually follow through on, the ones that I like, the ones that I don't like. And some of them are, yes, more career oriented. Some are more wellness oriented. Some are just for fun because I want to make my life more fun. Like with the whole hosting thing I was speaking about in the last episode. Well, I think hosting it's fun, but it's also like building community. And I also want community to be like a super important part of my life. So anyways, the rituals will expand through all the different little bits and pieces that make up a person's life. And so in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the rituals that I want to start to implement, the rituals that I have listed out that I want to start implementing into my life daily, weekly, and monthly. And as you can see from this, they're not rituals that are already in my life. So this podcast isn't from the point of view of an expert, like I'm coming on here to tell you guys about my wonderful life that is super ritualized and magical and amazing, and I'm going to share it with you. It's the complete opposite. This is like what I want. I feel like the universe has been sending me all these little messages in different ways of like, you need to start implementing a bit more structure into your life. And the way that you are going to be able to do that without getting bored, I get bored very easily, is going to be to bring in that little mystical, magical, romanticizing element by calling it a ritual and sharing it with someone else, accountability, and that's the plan. So I hope you enjoy hearing my intended rituals and that you will hopefully get some ideas for rituals that you could implement into your life. If you have anything that you currently do or like any kind of ritual that you've been wanting to start doing in your life, please share it in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. I would love some more inspo. I did get inspiration for some of these just from the podcasts that I listen to on a daily basis. I am obsessed with listening to podcasts. That's all I hear all day long. I hardly listen to music because I'm too busy listening to podcasts. Anyways, some of them are just things that I've been wanting to do myself and that I've been called to do. So let's go ahead and get started. Starting with the daily rituals, I would love to drink some warm lemon water right as I wake up before my coffee. Currently, I get up and not immediately, but like pretty soon after, I will make myself a coffee. And I think that's like one of the only rituals that are actually something that's current in my life. And I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I'm trying to steer away from caffeine. I really don't feel that it does any harm to my body. It doesn't give me the jitters. It doesn't make my heart rate go up. I feel fine and perfect with caffeine. It also doesn't have that effect of, I don't know, if I have it in the afternoon that I won't be able to sleep at night. It doesn't seem to affect me in that way. So do have coffee every single day, and I love grinding my coffee beans, pouring myself an espresso, foaming up my milk, and making myself a cappuccino. I'm a cappuccino girly through and through. I love coffee with milk. I don't have any sugar or anything like that in it, but I do love the combination of coffee and milk. I love a creamy drink. I love using good beans where you can like actually taste the difference. But anyway, so that's a current ritual that I already have in my life because I just love coffee a lot and I love to make myself cappuccinos every morning. Before I do the coffee though, I would like for the first drink that I have in my day not to be coffee. I'd love for it to be a warm lemon water. So just get up, boil some water, add some lemon juice and lemon slices into a little teacup and have my lemon water before I go in for my cappuccino ritual. So that's the first one. Second one is something I want to add into my coffee routine. So as I was saying, I make myself a cappuccino. I don't normally have to stir my coffee at all because I just pour my milk foam into my coffee. But I heard this on a podcast of someone like stirring intentions for their day into their coffee. So as you're like stirring in, you could do this with tea, you could do this with any drink, but specifically since I do drink coffee, I want to start stirring it, even though I don't need to stir it, but just grab a little spoon and think of my intentions for the day or just a general intention, a big kind of affirmation that I am currently trying to focus on in life. And think about that and just think of me stirring. I feel like I'm saying that word so weirdly, but stirring that into my coffee before I drink it. And then just drink it and feel like I am actually embodying that intention. That's a little bit more of a little witchy one or just more weird, but I want to start doing that. And then habit stacking here. Once I grab that coffee, I would love to journal as I drink my coffee. Currently, I don't have any special thing that I do while I drink it. Sometimes if I wake up hungry, I'll make breakfast, so I'll drink it with breakfast. Most times I'm not hungry though. So it's just me and my coffee. I'll sit down on my computer. I'll go through some emails. If I'm reading a book, I might read. I don't have anything specific that I do while I drink my coffee. So what I want to start doing is to start journaling. Grab my journal, write whatever. It doesn't have to be like long or anything, but just write something down as I'm sipping on my coffee. I am not a consistent journaler. I'm not a person that consistently journals, but I have done so for little stints of time in the past. And I love finding an old journal and just reading back what I wrote down and seeing the date of it and kind of thinking back to that moment in my life. I want to be able to like keep these insights into my mind at different periods of life. So I do want to start journaling. So I want to try that out as well. Okay, next thing. This is I guess I'm kind of like building a little morning routine here because the next thing I wrote down was to exercise 90 minutes after waking up. So on another podcast I was listening to, I heard them say that the highest amount of cortisol that we produce in our bodies is actually 90 minutes after waking up. And it's a really good idea to use up this cortisol because any extra cortisol that your body doesn't use up, it gets stored away into like tissues of your body and can be stored away as fat. So I honestly need to do a little bit more research into this. I'm just going off what I heard on that one singular podcast episode, but it sounded like a good idea and also just kind of fits into my time frame because I love to work out in the morning versus nighttime. But I also love to have a slow morning, so I don't like the idea of waking up and kind of like immediately having to get dressed and out the door to go work out. I love being able to have this process of drinking my lemon water and then my coffee and journaling a little bit, maybe reading, getting a really slow start to the day, and then changing into my workout clothes and going out for a workout class. So that for me would be around 9 a.m. Okay, next one is actually a ritual that I want to start implementing that was suggested to me by a coach that I recently had a session with, and it's to work on my lack mindset loops. So I told him I struggle a lot with lack mentality. I would love to have a more abundant mindset, but it's something, I mean, I've definitely improved it, but it's definitely something that I still struggle with. And so what he suggested was every time that I have thoughts or feelings of lack, I'm going to open up my notes app. I already created little notes where I will write down what it was that I thought, kind of like how I felt about it. And by writing it down, you're becoming conscious of this thought. And just doing that, just becoming more aware is already super helpful. But what he also suggested was to quickly switch out of that and get out of that pattern, get out of that loop. It's to stop what you're doing and do something different. So what I've decided is if I'm at home, I'm going to get up and go splash some water on my face, some cold water on my face, and like get those thoughts out. You stop. And if they happen when I'm out, like out and about, I'm going to tug on my ears. Don't ask me why, but I just decided that I'm going to tug on my ears to stop the thought pattern, the lack thought patterns. The last two things are more of like night routine rituals that I want to implement. So the first one is a nighttime skincare routine. I'm going to be real honest with you guys here and admit that I sometimes struggle even washing my face before I go to bed, much less do a full-on skincare routine. It's a lot easier for me to do it in the morning. In the morning, I will do vitamin C, moisturizer, sunscreen, and I'm good to go. Nighttime, I struggle a lot with it. And like I said, sometimes I don't even want to wash my face. So I'm going to get started with a very simplified skincare nighttime ritual. So my simplified nighttime skincare little ritual that I want to do is I want to play either a meditation or I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Superhuman app. They have something called activations. It's just like affirmations with some really nice music. I want to play that, brush my teeth, wash my face, double wash. I've been double cleansing and I really like it. Double wash, moisturizer, that's it. And my last one for daily rituals. Again, everything I was saying is something I want to do every day. So the last one is a meditation to fall asleep to. So this will probably change from time to time, but currently there is one meditation that is all about celebrity energy. So I'm really into finally making my dream come true of being a content creator. The big part of this is this podcast that I've started, but also posting more on social media, little reels of me cooking, sharing my life and whatnot. And this meditation is meant to help your subconscious beliefs that you may have around not wanting to be seen or just like being afraid of that. So I would like to work on that by listening to this celebrity energy meditation right as I'm falling asleep. So that's all for now regarding the daily rituals that I would like to implement. Now for the weekly ones, I have a lot. I almost like forgot all the ones that I wrote. These are really fun though. I think you're gonna maybe want to copy some of these. I think these are fun. So the first one isn't that fun, but it's a Sunday morning cleaning sesh with music. So along with not being a super disciplined, structured person, I'm also not super organized. And so my house can sometimes get a bit messy because I'm not like on top of it all the time. So I want to start implementing little things in my life that can help keep it more organized, clutter-free, more clean, if you will. So for Sundays, I'm thinking Sunday mornings, just like a slow Sunday morning, I'm going to vacuum the entire house. I'm going to put my earphones in while I do it, and I'm going to play some music. So as I said before, I don't listen to that much music, but for this specifically, I feel like the vibe is listening to pop music in Spanish that I can just sing my heart out to while I vacuum the house. It's like this very specific desire that I have in my mind to do this. So I decided that's what I'm going to do. While I do that, my husband can take care of the kitchen and the bathroom while I vacuum the entire house and like dust things off. Teamwork. Every Sunday, keep the house a little bit more in order. We thankfully have someone that every 2 weeks comes and helps us and cleans the entire house, like a deep clean. But I think if every week we do this more like overall a little clean, it'll just keep things a lot better. Next weekly one is to implement this is something I think everybody does besides me, which is an everything shower. So I really want to do a Sunday everything shower where I do face mask, hair mask, exfoliation, body lotion, and oil as soon as I get out. And this is also music related. I want to do all of this while blasting music in my bathroom, specifically an early 2000s playlist. So again, just a very specific desire that I feel to do this, and we're just going to go with it. Okay, next one is also for Sundays, and it is a Sunday night pizza / weekly planning session. This one is involving my husband, and we are going to be either making homemade pizzas on Sunday nights or ordering pizza, or maybe just like walking to get some pizza every Sunday, bring it back home, probably pour like some kombucha into a wine glass kind of thing, and have a planning session for the week. So each of us can individually plan out our weeks, plan out the goals that we want to do, schedule things that we have. What's going to bring us together is the pizza, because that is what's making this whole thing fun. And I also want to play a jazz and bossa nova playlist while we do this. So yeah, I got this idea from a friend here in Lisbon. She posted that she like does this with her boyfriend every Sunday, orders pizza and has a little planning session. And I just loved the idea of that. So I'm going to copy her and implement that as a weekly routine for my husband and I. The next one also involves my husband, and it's a Friday night date night. We haven't been like really consistent in going out on dates a lot this year because we spent like so much time and energy planning our wedding, which was in June. So like up until that, things were always kind of like revolving around the wedding and like budgeting for that, planning for that, whatever. And then after the wedding, it was just getting used to our new life here in Lisbon, but we are ready to get back on the dating game. So I told him already about this little ritual. Every week we're going to have a Friday night date night, and we are going to switch off every other week as like the person that plans the date. If it's my week, I can either make reservations for a place that I think we would enjoy going to together. I can plan an at-home dinner with a movie. It can be whatever, but one week it's me, the next week it's him, and then it's me again, and so on. Just kind of like something fun. We can always look forward to Fridays because we know that either we're planning something fun or the other person has something fun planned for us. So also really excited about that little ritual. The next one is a Monday roast chicken. I mentioned in my first episode that I have this housewife dream of every week roasting a chicken. So I think I'm going to actually roast 2 chickens for lunch every Monday. That way that'll be our lunch for that day, but then I'll have lots of leftovers that I can keep in the fridge and use for lunches or dinners throughout the week. So stay tuned for the roast chicken recipe that I end up using. Okay, another little food one is coffee and a little treat. I want to have a solo date with myself every single week where I will take myself out to one of the many cafes that I have saved on my list of places that I want to go to in Lisbon. And I'm going to treat myself to a little coffee and a little treat because there's nothing better than a coffee and a little treat. And I want to make this something that I do every week. I'm probably also going to go ahead and make this the day that I edit my podcast episodes. So that's also going to be fun. It'll be my little podcasting, editing, solo date, coffee, and a little treat day every single week. Yay. Next weekly ritual I want to implement are some Saturday morning baking sessions. I'm a pastry chef, so I honestly kind of do this for a living. But first of all, when you do something for a living, when you make your hobby your job, it kind of takes the fun out of it. I'm going to be really honest. So I want to bake just for fun on Saturdays. Well, yes and no. Just for fun, but also this will be like my content shooting day. So I do want to record a recipe for my Instagram every week. So my Saturday baking session is going to double as content for the week, which I guess is not entirely a hobby, but still, if you don't do content and you love baking, like imagine scheduling into your week a little baking session We just know that that day you get to try out one of the many recipes that you've saved on Pinterest or TikTok or Instagram or wherever you save your recipes. I save recipes on all of these mediums. I have many recipes to try. And I would just love to have like one day a week where I know that's the day where I'm going to get my ingredients together and I'm going to make it. So, very excited about my Saturday baking sessions. Okay. So for monthly ones, these are pretty short because it's just like things that I'm going to do every month. But basically, one themed dinner party a month with friends. I want to read one novel a month. So not like a nonfiction self-help book, but a novel. I recently got back into reading again. I'm obsessed. I was reading It Ends With Us. I hadn't read it yet. It was obviously super popular and I had been wanting to read it for a while, but I hadn't read it and the movie came out. My friend asked me to go with her to the movies. She told me like 1 week before. And so I like rush read the entire book before going to see it. Obviously, the book was so much better than the movie. And the movie is currently in like so much drama, which I am obsessed with on TikTok. And I don't even want to get into that, but I have been watching the drama. And then lastly is I would love to plan a weekend getaway every other month. I didn't put this down every month just because like for budget reasons, but this is definitely something we're going to work towards to make it every month. Because I love traveling. It can be just like a little weekend getaway anywhere here in Portugal. There are so many places to explore and travel to in Portugal. And my husband and I are like really looking forward to getting to know the country a lot better, but also maybe sometimes throwing in there a long weekend little trip to another European city. London, I am looking at you. Would be really nice. Those are the only 3 monthly rituals I have so far. And that's the end of my list. That's the end of the rituals that I've been coming up with, crafting, if you will, that I want to implement into my life. I made this list by basically just like dividing. I just wrote like daily, weekly, monthly. And then as I would think of stuff, just like in my day-to-day life, I would jot some stuff down. And then on one particular day, I did actually sit down and think to myself, okay, what are the end results that I want to achieve? So what improvements do I want to make in my life? And I want to have a more organized home. I want to take better care of my skin, of my body, of my mind. I want to be creating more content. With these goals in mind, I worked backwards into what little steps can I do every day or every week or whatever that will help me achieve this. And then that's how the ritual ideas kind of started coming up. And then also I got inspiration from other sources, as I mentioned. But yeah, I'm excited. When the rituals are getting started is I had told myself the day I record the episode, boom, we got to get those rituals started. So starting from today is August 16th. From now forward, I'm going to be implementing these rituals. I will report back on which ones stay and which ones go and how I feel doing all of them and what impacts, I guess, it has on my life. So that is today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed listening. I very much enjoyed recording this and going over my list again. I'm actually like genuinely so excited to start doing this. And if you are like me and you struggle a little bit with routine, structure, discipline, girl, like get on the ritual game. I haven't even started, but just the thought of how excited I am, I don't usually get this excited about implementing any sort of like structure into my life. So the fact that I'm already so excited about this is a good sign, but I will report back on how it actually goes. That's all I have to say. I hope you have a lovely week. And I will see you next time. Bye.